Hey guys, today I have something truly radical to show you. This was my big Christmas present that I got for Christmas this year, and I've been waiting in a sort of a best for last type fashion to show this thing, hence me taking so long to make a video of it. This is a Tektronix model CMD80 digital radio communication tester. What that basically means is, digital radio communication tester could mean a plethora of things, but what this specifically is a cell phone tester. This thing would be owned by people who, say, repaired cell phones, or perhaps a place where you got cell phones activated. And this is what they would use to test a cell phone to make sure everything worked. They would test the transmit and receive on it, test the audio, the earpiece, the microphone, absolutely everything about the workings of cellular phones. This machine can test. And the reason I wanted this thing is because it is compatible with analog cell phones. And, ever since analog cellular service shut down here in 2008 or 2009, I've been wishing that there was some sort of machine that I could use to simulate an analog cellular tower so I could, play around with my analog cell phones. And for the first time in years, they could see a signal and, call and be called and stuff like that. And this machine can do all that. Now, you will not see a demonstration of this machine today in this video. As a matter of fact, I'm going to split the demonstration of this machine into no less than 3 videos. Reason being is I have a feeling that if I made a single video of this machine showing everything that it can do, or at least everything that I know how to do on it, I have a feeling that that video would be close to 2 hours long, and I'd kind of like to avoid that because I'm pretty sure that nobody would ever make it all the way through that. So I'm going to split it up into 3 videos. The first video, this one, is just going to be an introduction to the machine. Second video is going to be a demonstration, just a brief in quotation marks, a brief demonstration of it working with my analog cell phones. And the third video is going to be a full demonstration showing all the features that at least I know how to use that this machine can do. Now, as I said, I had been wishing that something like this existed. I had no clue that something like this did in fact exist. And I figured something like this didn't exist until one day, back in the summertime, as a matter of fact, actually earlier than the summertime, back during my second semester, first year of university, I came across a YouTube user. His name escapes me. I think it might have been Thor Videos or something like that. Actually, I'm pretty sure it was Thor Videos. But that YouTube user had 2 videos, and he owns one of these machines, and he had 2 videos. One demonstrating it with a Motorola Dynatac, and the other demonstrating it with a Motorola Tough Talker. And I was so elated when I found those videos and discovered that this thing existed. And I remember I put this was before YouTube allowed unlimited comment lengths, but I put like 4 or 5 full-size comments on that video asking all these questions about it. And he only ever answered 1 or 2 of them. And I have a feeling now that I kind of weirded him out by posting so many comments at once. And if that guy's ever if that guy ever comes across this video, I hope he knows that I didn't mean to weird him out or cause any harm in any way by hounding him with comments. But whatever, anyhow. So yeah, ever since I found those videos, I said to myself, I gotta get one of those machines some way, somehow. And so I did. As a matter of fact, these aren't even that rare to come by. At the time of getting this unit, there were close to 10 of them on eBay, in all sorts of working conditions and prices and that. And yeah, I got this unit, which is in absolutely perfect shape, works absolutely perfect, and I think this is a very suitable big Christmas present this year. Now, this machine, branded Tektronix, actually wasn't made by Tektronix themselves. It was made by a German company called Rode and Schwarz. And what happened was, back in 1993, I believe it was, Rode and Schwarz, who was making their own line of electronics, they paired with Tektronix, who obviously is a big electronics name in North America. Rode and Schwarz and Tektronix paired up so that Tektronix could help Rode and Schwarz market their equipment in the United States and I believe in Canada. So this machine was one of the fruits of that partnership. So basically this was built by Rode and Schwarz, sold by Tektronix. Now you may be wondering, how much would this machine have cost? And by the way, if I remember right, this machine was introduced in 1995, and I believe production culminated around 2003 or 2004. So this thing had a pretty good production run. My unit was made in 2001, and I don't know if you guys, some of you guys might not believe me when I say this, but the retail price of this machine, my particular machine, because mine has, I believe mine has all the internal options that they offered on these at the time. You could order these with various options to work with different types of cell phones. The base model just came with the ability to interface with CDMA phones, but there was also an analog option, so it could work with analog phones, and there was also a PCS option to work with PCS phones, and there were options for a couple other cellular standards as well. And my unit has every single one of those options. And you guys won't believe this, but the retail price of my machine would have been around $75,000. I am not kidding. That's what this machine would have cost back in 2001. The base price for the unit, with no internal options, was $47,000. And each internal option to interface with a different type of phone would have been between $2,000 and $5,000. So yeah, my particular machine would have originally retailed for $75,000. You can rest assured that Mum didn't pay that much to get me this one. She got this one on eBay for $250. So yeah, needless to say, these things are worth absolutely jack now. The most I've seen one of these on the used market now is about $1,500, but you can easily grab one of these in perfect working condition for under $200. So that's pretty cool. Now, I'll give you a brief look at it here. You've seen the front. This is a black and white dot matrix LCD display, backlit with a cold cathode fluorescent lamp. It's an incredibly high quality display. I might as well just say it now instead of saying it for everything later, but everything here absolutely exudes quality. The buttons, the rotary knob here, every switch, every button is absolutely the highest quality switch, button, etc. that I've ever seen on anything ever. Obviously, hence its price. This thing was built to incredibly high standards, incredibly high precision for all the electronics and everything. And there is absolutely nothing that seems out of place in terms of quality on this machine. But you've got a bunch of soft keys here on each side of the display to help navigate the user interface. This thing has an entirely graphical user interface that's actually very intuitive to use. You've got a number keypad here, rotary knob to adjust various things, and you've got a volume knob. This thing does have a speaker on it. It's only used for certain things, but I'll get to that in future videos. And you can adjust the display contrast as well. Apparently, according to the user's manual, this big port right here actually doesn't do anything. It's not actually connected to anything. But then again, the user's manual also said the volume control didn't do anything when it in fact does. So who knows if this port does anything or not. We've got an RF in-out connector as well as separate RF in and RF out connectors. You have the output for the audio frequency generator that's used for some things. Audio frequency input. You have jacks to measure DC voltage and current. That's pretty cool. You have a probe jack here, or probe connector I should say. I kind of forget, I forget if this is actually used for anything. You've got other buttons here for other controls. And this, which is labeled memory card, this is actually just a PCMCIA slot to take some sort of proprietary memory card that you could store settings on. You got the power button there. If we go over to the other side here, you see 4 fans. This thing has no less than 6 fans in it. And these 4 are on the side here. And the internal options that I spoke about, they're in the form of cards that plug into proprietary slots. Actually, they might actually be standard, but it's no connector I've ever seen. But they plug into slots all along the length of the machine, and those fans blow air past them. They are incredibly loud, so I actually disconnected these fans. I've made sure when I'm using the unit and it doesn't seem to get warm, so I just leave those fans unplugged, because otherwise this thing sounds like a jet engine when it's powered on. Coming around the back here, there's a lot of stuff going on. Fan for the power supply switch, and a connector, standard IEC connector. This, all these stickers here are the options that were installed in it at the factory. All those options there. Good for 100 to 240 volts, 50 to 400 hertz. I've never heard of a country that used 400 hertz electricity, but who knows, someone must use it somewhere. Not for like their home or anything, but you know, in a lab setting. Service connector, which looks like a serial port. All the user manual says is don't touch it. It doesn't say what it's for, it just says do not touch it. Something called the IEEE bus. And these all here, these aren't jacks, they're just holes that go inside the case, so they're plugged up. Well, I don't know what that connector's for, because it's not labeled at all, but that is a serial port, and you can hook this thing up to a PC-compatible computer, and with the right software, the computer can display messages that this thing outputs through that port. And there's an actual parallel printer port here, so you can connect a printer to it and print the display output, which that's pretty cool. I've never actually tried it yet, but I should. This thing is compatible with the HP LaserJet 4 series. And this, which looks like it might be an AT keyboard port, although I don't remember AT ports having perfectly circular holes, but I don't know, but it's labeled keyboard. And other than that, you have a 10 megahertz, I guess it's just like a clock generator, a 10 megahertz clock generator, and an input for some sort of clock, I believe, and that's it. And all these things which pull off and cover the ports, they wouldn't have originally come on this. The seller would have, or whoever originally owned this, bought all these covers for all the ports. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And if I'm not mistaken, there's nothing on the other side. Nope, nothing on the other side. On this side, there is a handle. But this thing is incredibly heavy. It weighs about 50 pounds. So yeah, you're not really going to be carrying it anywhere often. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to show of this thing for this video. But I will tell a little bit of a story now, and if you guys just wanted to see this and you don't want to hear me rant about something else now, you can stop watching now, but for those who want to hear my rant, I will begin now. When I first discovered these things and started looking for them on eBay, I found 2 of them that were being sold by a particular seller. And they were listed as being in good shape and tested and working perfectly and everything. And I always kept them in my watch list with the intention of around Christmas time letting Mom know about those particular ones that were for sale. And I will tell you right now, that seller of those particular machines oh my gosh, where do I begin? He has no idea how to properly act in a professional environment. This seller of these machines, who I did not buy this one from, this one came from a completely different seller, Had them for a good price, $150 and $30 shipping to the United States. I remember he said something about them that I wanted to ask a question about, and I asked him that question, and the guy this guy who was selling these machines, actually was running he actually runs this, I guess, fairly large electronics retailer, this used electronics retailer. And he has his own website, and of course he had his eBay store. Well, I asked this guy a question I had about these machines, and he replied to me, and he basically said that he couldn't answer my question. I forget how he worded it, but he basically said he couldn't answer my question. So I thought, okay, well, I knew how to phrase my question in a way that he could answer it without having to do anything special. So I reiterated my question to him. He replied to me with this big paragraph stating about how what he said had nothing to do with my question or my asking of my question, but he wrote me this big paragraph in an eBay message talking about how he had to sell $3,000 of equipment an hour to stay alive and all this stuff. He went into all this personal stuff, and it just absolutely dumbfounded me. And I replied to him, and I'm like, look, if you don't want to answer my question, just say you don't want to answer my question. You know, don't go into all this personal stuff, because that has nothing to do with what I'm asking you, and personal business has no place in professional business. And he never replied to me, and I left it at that. So I'm thinking, okay, this guy just doesn't really want to answer my question. Guess he just wanted to say whatever it took to get rid of me. And I'm like, okay. So I let it go and kept the thing in my watch list to give to Mum later. And so fast forward to 6 months later, and the guy never sold either of them. And he had them for $150 and or best offer. So come around, around November, I give the links to Mum, and I said, hey, why not try the best offer? He hasn't sold either of them in 6 months. He'll probably take anything at the moment. So Mum's like, okay. So she sent him, she gave him a lowball offer at first, $100. And the guy just rejected the offer. Mum's like, okay. On eBay, you're allowed to give up to 3 consecutive offers before you're forced to buy it if you want it for the full price. So Mum sent him a second offer for $120. And personally, I think, that's a pretty good price if you have something for $150 that you haven't sold in months and months. $120 is probably an okay offer. But the guy rejected the offer again. So Mum's like, okay, I'll give him, pretty fair offer. She offered him $130. The guy messages Mum. This is the same guy who wrote the really strange message to me. He messages Mum, tells her the exact same thing that he told me, and then tells her that he's going to block her from buying his stuff so that, quote, we don't waste more of each other's time. Now, here was Mum, and by the way, Mum told me, she said if he didn't accept any of her offers, she was going to pay the buy it now price, simple as that. So here was Mum, after 3 offers, she couldn't offer any more anyway, ready to shell out $150 for the full buy it now price, and the guy blocks her. And Mum messages him, and she says, well, I can't offer any more anyway, and I'm willing to buy it, so why not just let me buy it? And he never replied to her, and he just blocked her. And when I heard this, I've come to the conclusion that this guy is an absolute lunatic. Here was someone, a potential customer, who not only offered what I think are pretty fair offers, but afterwards she was willing to pay the entire buy it now price, and the guy just blocked her. Like, the guy has absolutely no idea how to conduct professional business. He has no idea how to act in a professional manner when talking to customers, and he has no idea how to conduct professional business. You do not block somebody who tells you that they're just going to buy it for the full price now. You don't go and block somebody. You only do that if you don't want to sell your items. This guy is absolutely nuts, and I was so angry when I heard about that. I thought of making this video, back when that happened. This was back in November, and I thought of saying who the guy was, but I don't think that's a good idea. And, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let on who this guy was. But, yeah, he blocked Mom. Oh, and it doesn't end there. After he had blocked Mom from buying his stuff, he jacked the price up to $200 and removed the best offer. Absolutely asinine. That is the most asinine business move I've ever seen in my life. You block someone who's about to buy your stuff and then raise the price. Holy crap. Anyway, so yeah, Mom and I, we unanimously said, screw that guy. He's absolutely nuts. And the way I see it, I don't want to give him my business. Someone who is willing to do all that crazy stuff, I don't want to give my business. So we left it at that. And by the way, as of making this video, he still has not sold either of those machines. So I bought this one. This one came from a Canadian seller, which was awesome because it was free shipping straight to Canada. $250, buy it now, and it was tested and everything. And yeah, so we spent, or I should say Mom spent $20 more than she would have with the other guy, but the other guy we had no problems with, and of course free shipping straight to Canada. And actually this unit's in quite a bit better shape than the ones from the other guy. But yeah, that's basically the summary of my rant. That I've never seen a more stupid business move until I saw a guy who blocks a potential buyer who's about to buy an item and then jacks the price up. Because if he had just banned Mom and kept the price the same, I would have bought the thing with my eBay account right away. But nope. Absolutely stupid. Stupidest way to conduct business that I've ever seen. So that's it. I think that'll conclude my first video of this thing. The next video you see of this, which won't come consecutively, I'll probably upload other stuff first, but the next video you see of this thing is going to be a demonstration of my Motorola bag phones. So, there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If you stayed this far, thanks for listening to my rant. It felt good to get it out, that's for sure. And I'll see you guys later.